I used to be that kind of customer. The one who would criticize fine dining restaurants for serving tiny portions of their most expensive and emblematic dishes. For me, the value of a restaurant experience was more about quantity than the uniqueness of its flavors, textures, aromas, or ambience. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't choose a bad restaurant just because they served big portions. I still wanted my food to taste good. But exceptional flavors simply didn't carry as much weight for me as size did. It took me years to realize that this mindset wasn't entirely my own. It was shaped by a targeted strategy, one perfected by global fast food chains to convince us that the bigger and cheaper always meant better. Paul Friedman, author and Yale University scholar, explores this in Why Food Matters, explaining that American eating habits often prioritize aesthetic nutritionism, where health claims replace enjoyment, or at the other extreme, sheer overconsumption, exemplified by supersized portions and an excess of sugar. Food journalist Michael Pollan, in The Omnivore's Dilemma, describes how McDonald's cracked the code in the 1970s. They introduced supersizing, realizing that people don't like to feel like gluttons by ordering a second burger or fries. The solution? Offer much bigger portions for just a few extra cents. The result? A massive success. Poland notes, one might think that people would stop eating and drinking these gargantuan portions as soon as they felt full. But it turns out, hunger doesn't work that way. Researchers have found that people and animals presented with large portions will eat up to 30% more than they would otherwise. Once I became aware of this psychological trick, and after experiencing some truly mind-blowing meals, I shifted my priorities. Now, I seek experiences, flavors that surprise me, aromas that transport me, textures that linger in my memory. Those are what make food exciting. Those are what I'm willing to spend my money on. Our guest today on Comersaciones knows this world intimately. Brazilian food writer Gabrielli Menezes has spent most of her career dining in some of the best restaurants, developing the taste and knowledge to truly appreciate what really matters in food. And spoiler alert, it is not quantity. So let's dive in. This is my first podcast episode in English. Welcome to the bilingual version of Comersaciones. Hello everyone, and welcome to Comersaciones podcast. I am very excited today because of two reasons. The first one is that this is the first episode we're doing in English. So we're officially now a bilingual podcast. I hope to learn some Portuguese in the future so we can make it a trilingual podcast. But in the meantime, it's just Spanish and English. And this is great because this means that we're going to be able to reach out to more people who are also passionate about food's connection and impact on ourselves and on our culture. So that is very, very exciting. And also the second reason I'm excited about is our guest. Just like me, her first language is not English. It's Portuguese, as I mentioned before. And this makes the conversation even more interesting. I'm talking about a Brazilian food writer, a journalist, and a friend of mine. I think that to this point, we're friends only virtually. Hopefully, in the near future, we're gonna be meeting in person when you're able to come to New York, or I'm able to go to Sao Paulo. But yeah, here with us is Gabrielli Menezes, aka Gabrielism. So it's Gabrielli with two L's and then an S and an M at the end. Welcome to the podcast, Gabi.
Thank you so much, Camilo. Yes, like you said, so I'm here trying to answer all of your questions in English. So just because of you, Camilo, I'm doing it, okay? But I know we are going to have so much fun here. As you said, I'm Gabriele Menezes, but you can call me Gabi, of course. And I'm a food journalist. I've been writing about food since I started being a journalist, so
Uh-huh.
it's really naturally. Yeah, and today you're going to talk about food, I guess.
Yes, we're gonna be talking about food, but not only food. And this was something that we talked about yesterday. Is
Mhm.
like not only food itself, but also like what is the meaning that food has for people's lives, for people's culture, and I think we're gonna have some interesting conversations about some things going on in the industry. So yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything for the audience. Gabi, no worries. You have a really good English, and if you didn't have a good English, no worries because I am not very good at English either. So we can just help each other out. We can
Great.
portuñol stuff and all
Sure.
that. Gabi, I want to tell the people who are listening or viewing right now that you and I we met last year thanks to a project we work on together for a very short time, and as I told you, I felt inspired by you and the fact that you were a Latina journalist making a living out of eating and writing. I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is something that can be done. And also, I guess that I was a little bit jealous of your freedom to choose, like, you can choose whoever you want to work with. And that's why I quit my job, basically. Not just
Yes.
kidding. And that wasn't the main reasons, but it added up to some other reasons. Before we dive into fine dining and food writing, let's take a step back. Our relationship with food starts long before we sit at a fancy restaurant. It's shaped by our families, our cultures, and even our personal struggles. And for Gabrieli, that foundation runs deep.
My father had a restaurant for
Oh,
I don't know, uh, 20 years.
mm-hmm,
And now my brother takes care of this restaurant, which is not in São Paulo. It's in a
mm-hmm.
city here near here. And also my mom, she was the owner of the cafeteria in the school I studied. So
Okay.
it was like a dream. I think maybe I started to not to writing, but to review food
Mm-hmm.
writing the school because my mom was the owner of the cafeteria. And then
Doing
I
PR for your
always,
mother.
yeah, but I always asked different things. Oh, can you cut the bread and then put something inside and blah blah blah. Oh my God. Yeah, the
This
people
is
like
so
telling.
nice, Gabi. It makes total sense that you ended up wanting to do something related to food. But tell me, when was that moment that you said, oh my God, I love food. I want to keep food around and around me uh, all the
Yeah,
time?
I think it's not a mm, beautiful story because before studying journalism, I used it to be a ballerina. So
Uh-huh.
I've been working as a professional ballerina for some years in
Mm,
my life, and I was like ballet was my passion, and I used it
mhm.
to be to spend 6 hours of my day dancing and practicing,
Every day.
and every day.
Wow.
Not Saturday and Sunday, but
Ah.
weekdays, yes, 6 hours or something like that. And I was, um, and all I could think about was food, because I love to eat, and my family is really involved in food. But I felt like I couldn't eat because it would make me fat.
Mm.
So it was yes, a food disorder. Years after that, now I can see and say yes, I had
Mm.
food disorders. And uh, I think, of course, after quitting ballet and starting a new life as a journalist, it was a smooth process to stop thinking about calories and counting calories and things like that, and diving into another perspective of the meal. And I think actually working with it kind of healed me,
Mm.
because I could see food through uh, a lot of perspectives, deeper and more connected with
Mm-hmm.
people, with culture. So I stopped to look into a plate, into a meal, and thinking, oh my God, this have I don't know how many calories, and
Mm.
started to think, oh my God, there is corn here. I know that in Colombia, corn is something really, I mean, good. They make blah 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 with that, just like Mexican do with tortillas.
Yeah.
So I started to make a lot of connections out of food, and it helped me a lot. And now
Mm.
I don't know. I think it has been 10 years that it's not an issue for me anymore. So
Wow.
yeah.
Gabi, that, I mean, I'm shocked because it's such a beautiful story of how you became interested professionally in food, but also because this moment in my life that I was having, that I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, had to do also with a mental health condition. So I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I've been diagnosed with that for almost in 2023, so almost 2 years, I think. Um, and I've had different stages, like season when I'm really good, and then I get depressed, and then I get good again. Um, but I found in learning about food and talking about food and reading about food and writing about food the best way to get out of those places.
Yeah, that's so similar. And I think I just realized that it happened uh, years after, because it was not something planned. Oh, okay,
Hmm.
now I'm going to work with food because I know that it will make me feel blah blah blah. No, but
Hmm.
like 5 years after working with food and eating everything, I was like, oh my God, now I can eat and I don't feel guilty about it.
Hmm.
So it was it's a completely different life,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's not good when you feel so anxious about something,
Hmm.
and all you can think about is uh, food, and but not in a good way, you know.
Yeah.
And now
Not
I
in a
can I
healthy way.
oh yeah, yeah, now I continue thinking about food, but in a the opposite direction, in the
Yeah.
opposite direction.
Wow, wow, Gary,
Yes,
that's an amazing coincidence and an amazing story.
yes.
I've been like remembering my grandmother a lot. She passed away last year in November, and so I went to Colombia for a couple days, and you know, I had a very close connection with my grandmother, and she would give me like kitchen tips and how to make this and that, and the best food that I would ever have would be at my grandma's kitchen. Uh, Her entire life was cooking. She would spend every day, like the working hours, just being in the kitchen, and that made her so happy. She would be like, I don't know, if for Christmas you wanted to take her somewhere fancy or to a great place, she would be like, no, no, I wanna stay in my kitchen, and I wanna make morcilla, which is blood sausage.
Uh-huh.
I wanna make my arepas, my tamales, and yeah, that's what makes me happy, and the sancocho. Um, so what do you remember your grandmother in the same way, or what was the relationship like between you two?
Um, yeah, so my mother and my father, they work it outside home. So I used it to be at home with my grandmother almost all the time.
Hmm.
She was the one cooking lunch for me every day. So she used it to help me with my diet. I don't like remember my diet. But even with health food, she used it to make a lot of things that I love to eat
Uh-huh.
until now. Yeah, one of my favorites is tortilla, but not yours tortilla, not like Mexican tortilla, but the one from Spain, which
Uh-huh.
made from eggs and potato.
Yeah.
Do you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's not
Tortilla española.
Spanish. Sí, yes, real así.
Yeah.
She's not Spanish, so I don't know how did she learn this this recipe. And she used it to call it omelette de batata, which is
Ah.
potato omelette, not
Uh-huh.
tortilla, you know. But
Yeah.
when I started working with food, I discovered the Spanish tortilla. So I was, oh my God, that's the same thing as my grandma did while I was a kid. And last year, me and all my family, we've been to Spain and Portugal. 10, 10 persons, 10 people. Yes,
Oh
10
wow.
people together
Oh wow.
in the same trip. Yes.
Those are the best
And
trips.
yes. And of course, I was responsible to choose which restaurants we were going to visit. And a lot of restaurants in Barcelona and Madrid had tortillas.
Mm.
And my family, they were like, "Oh my God, again tortillas?" And I was like, "Yes, that's for Ongina, who is my grandma. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is
Oh,
for
that's
our grandma. Let's eat. Stay
and
quiet and eat, please."
okay, and now that you have all this knowledge, this palate, like more educated than before, uh, were you able to find something similar in Spain to what your grandma used to make at home?
Yes, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Tortillas,
Uh-huh.
uh,
But I mean,
españolas.
the flavor and the quality. How would you rate?
Ah, yeah, it's different because my grandma used it to overcook the egg.
Ah,
And if you're going to think in a technical perspective, it's not great to
yeah.
overcook the egg. Of course, it was great, okay, grandma, but but, but I mean, it wasn't perfect
Mm,
technically
mm-hmm.
perfect, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it was made with her heart, her love, and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. A little bit of
But
love. Yeah.
yes, but to be honest, the ones I taste in Madrid, they were better. Yeah.
Yeah. They invented the thing, so
Yes.
they probably knew a little some secrets.
Yeah.
I also have a memory of a dish my grandma used to make. Also involves egg,
Mm.
and I when I was grown up, I kind of like connected that it was the same thing as a the egg that you put in the Chinese rice, or
Uh-huh.
um, so she called this, and hear me out, arroz con tortilla.
Arroz con tortilla.
It's like omelette de papa,
Omelette de batata. Yes.
omelette de batata, but this was arroz con tortilla, which is tortilla
Yeah.
can be also translated as omelette. Is basically a tortilla, an egg tortilla is an omelette, and so
Yes.
she would make the egg, and then she would mix it in the rice just before it finished the cooking of the rice, and then it would
Mm.
be like all intertwined in the rice grains, and it
Mm. I
was
would like to taste
so
it.
good. Yeah, I am gonna. I mean, I've been collecting from my mom, my dad, my aunts, uh, what the recipe exactly was, and
Uh-huh.
I want to recreate it. So, how does someone go from a deep-rooted love of food to actually making a career out of eating? And is being a food critic really as glamorous as it sounds? Gabrielli shares her journey. Gabby, just tell me, how is it like to make a living from writing about food? Is it as great as people think, or there are some downsides? Tell us how your experience has been with that.
So, as I told you, everything happened very naturally to me. I've never planned to do it, but it happens to happen. So, but of course, if I could dream about some great job, I think everyone would say, I want to eat and travel for free. So, yes, I know that a lot of people would like to do the same as I do. And of course, it's great. And I think the great part everyone can imagine. I think this job makes me experience different, almost different lives. Just
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes actors,
Ah,
they say about their profession. I think
uh-huh.
uh, being a journalist, I can travel and I can talk to different people and also get inspired by them. So yeah, and I think that the part I like the most is to know different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that's the main reason I'm doing it, and this is what make my eyes shine.
Uh-huh.
Yes, because like you said, food and how we are so connected. And I mean, what people don't know, I think that you have to have health and good stomach, which
Definitely.
I don't always have. Yes.
You don't have good
So
stomach, or you don't have good health?
no, I don't have a good stomach. Yes.
Okay. What is the thing that
So
you cannot eat at
yes,
all?
there's not one specific thing, but uh, I can't like drink too much. I can't eat things with much too much fat. Yes, sometimes I don't feel comfortable. There was a time that I've been to Paris and I get sick because of my stomach. Yes, and I
Right.
ate just one croissant, just
Oh
one
my
croissant
God. Yeah.
in a
A lot
week
of
in
butter
Paris.
in that, right?
Yes, and I love croissant. Oh my God, I got so frustrated. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think this is the worst part. And also, we don't eat in a good place all the time.
Hmm.
Sometimes we like, I'm excited to go out, and then I go to some restaurant and I eat, and I was like, and I'm like, oh my God, why did I came here? Because that's not good. And
Yeah.
it happens all the time. So, yeah, it's
Gabi,
okay.
it's a
You can
burden.
go.
It's a burden for you. It's like this is too much for me. Too much good food for me. No, but I'm just kidding. I liked a couple things that you mentioned, and I guess that the first thing that called my attention from what you just said was that you feel like you're living different lives, just like an actor. How is that? Like, what did you mean with that?
Yes. So, um, when I worked for a magazine here in São Paulo called Veja São Paulo, which is the main magazine here, especially when we are talking about food and restaurant reviews. So, I've been writing for them for 4 years, and I had to visit like 300 places in a year. So
What?
almost one, yes, almost one per day. And
Oh
sometimes I
my
had to go
god.
to like 4 bars in a night. Yes. And after that, my stomach was, oh my God, please help me. Okay.
That is crazy. And only in Sao Paulo or all around Brazil
All
or
in São Paulo. Yes,
okay.
only in São Paulo. So I had to be very organized to
Oof.
make this part of my life. So my friends, I think the best part is not to write about food, but to be friend of someone who write about food, because then you can be invited to go to the restaurants and you eat for free and you don't have any work to do after that. Yes.
That is so
But I
fair.
mean,
Yeah.
yes. So, considering these 300 places, there are a lot of restaurants and bars that maybe I would never go.
Hmm.
Uh, First, because sometimes they are too expensive and I cannot pay for it. And second, because sometimes they don't fit with my style of places that I personally like to go.
Uh huh.
So that's why I said like living different lives,
Got
because
it.
it's almost like a character to be alone in a place in a different neighborhood that I'm not used to go. Yes, so that's why I said it.
I mean that's incredible. I the just the mere idea of doing a project of eating in 300 different restaurants in a year is just so crazy. I guess the good part about it is that you probably didn't spend much money in food that year.
Yes, and I've been living like that for 4 years. So yes,
So every year you have to do 300 restaurants.
yes,
Oh my
because we
god.
had to visit the same place again after a year or after some months, just to check if the restaurant's still good or if not. So we usually gave restaurants 5 stars. 5 stars was the maximum
Hmm.
a restaurant could get. But usually they are around 3 and maximum 4. Like
Okay.
to have 5 stars, the restaurant have to be so special.
Okay.
So just
And
a few places here in São Paulo have
what
five
things
stars.
do you do the ratings about, like ambience or food or I don't know, music? What are the criteria?
Yes, I was responsible for a sector called comidinhas in Portuguese. It's like
Mhm.
little foods.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes I had to go to fancy restaurants and fine dining restaurants, but what I used to do the most was to visit um ice cream shops, coffee shops, and hamburgers, like place that sells hamburgers, and this kind of food,
Yeah, yeah.
little food.
Oh my God. The,
Yes.
the, the
So
trash food sometimes, I guess that it gets very boring eating hamburgers all the time.
yes, that's why like I said, I had to be very organized to choose where I can eat during lunch, and then how
Mm.
many days after eating that kind of food this day at lunch, I could eat something similar and just as fat as this one. But
Yeah.
nothing, I wasn't thinking like about staying healthy or something like that, but like just to enjoy, because I think it's
Hmm.
very important to be open to enjoy that place that you are visiting. Because if you are going there like, oh my God, okay, let's eat a hamburger, I mean, you will probably not going to like it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to see to think about how, of course, how was the food, if it was good, how was the textures, how
Mm.
was the flavor, it was balanced, or if
Hmm.
not, if it's too salty, or it should have more salt there. So that was the kind of things that I had to think while I was eating.
Mm.
And of course, if people are treating you nicely, and also not only you, because sometimes the owner of the restaurant knew me. So I had to see how other people were they were be treating well
Yeah.
or not.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so that was the kind of things that I had to think while eating. Yes.
That is so great. And Gabi, how do you learn these things? I mean, this is you're going to fine dining restaurants, you're eating that food, and then you need to give a grade to someone made something made by a big name in the cuisine world.
Hmm.
How do you learn these things, and how anxious do you get when you're about to publish the list?
Yes. So I wasn't alone doing this job, and it is very important because when I had some doubt, I could ask my partners, and sometimes I also bought. I used it to bought like breads and sweets, things that I could take out, so I could share with them, and then
Hmm.
we discuss together about what we think about the food. So
Hmm.
when I was about to decide who would win the best bread in São Paulo, I I usually did that.
Of course, no conversation about food would be complete without talking about flavors. And Brazilian cuisine? It's a whole world of its own. Gabrieli takes us through its indigenous roots, bold flavors, and immigration heritage.
At least here in Brazil, we have a lot of people from different countries, a lot of immigrants. I mean, and in each um, state of Brazil, it has a presence of some kind of culture, European culture,
Hmm.
uh, most of the time. And now we can taste all together, like you were saying yesterday about New York. I
Hmm.
think São Paulo is so similar. So sometimes you can know a lot of different places and countries without going out of your own city.
Yeah.
And yeah, here in São Paulo now there is a lot of Korean barbecue
Hmm.
restaurants,
Mm,
and not barbecue, just Korean. Yeah, it's
that's
kind
so
of a
good.
thing because of K-pop and K-drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing. I mean, uh, barbecue from a different place of the world in Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil.
Let's
Yes.
go. So, okay, let me ask you this question. This is one of the questions that I actually sent you. Um, what do you think is the reason Brazilian food is so special? I know that you guys are, of course, very famous for your meat and the different things that you made with the different cuts, and you also have the feijoada, but you also have the the chicken pieces with the sauce and rice. How's it called? Very thick,
Mushrooms. No?
very thick with mushrooms.
So stroganoff.
Ah, there you go, stroganoff.
Stroganoff.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
which is a Russian dish.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I don't know
yeah.
how Brazilians like started to make it and they give it their own touch because it's not the
Exactly.
same
So
thing as in
you
Russia,
guys
right?
have so many things like influences or from so many places
Yes,
that I would like to know your perspective on what makes Brazilian food so special.
yes. So I think there is a cultural side regarding indigenous people. They this amazing things, and they have a lot of techniques to deal with some kind of ingredients, just like cassava, manioc. I don't know which is the best word, but cassava, you can, like, I think it's absolutely fascinating how many byproducts you can do with cassava, like
Mm.
tucupi sauce, tapioca, which is the main ingredient for our cheese bread, which recently in Medellin I discovered that you guys have pão de queso, but
Of course, we have
it's
the
not
same
the same
thing.
thing.
No?
No, it's not the same thing as
Okay.
cheese as our cheese bread. But I would like to see a recipe to compare because
Yeah.
I got so fascinating about it. Oh my God, it's almost the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah. So we have different kind of like types of
Uh-huh.
pastries that we do with or baking products that we do with yuca, which are uh, pan de queso, pan de yuca, almohábana, buñuelo. We also have the buñuelo. So yeah, there's a diversity in terms
Okay,
of.
so maybe some of them are similar to
Yeah.
our cheese bread.
And I have to confess that I have tried the Brazilian
Oh my God,
um, pão de
what you're going
queijo.
to
Is
say.
that the pão de queijo?
Pão de queijo.
Pão de queijo. And I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh,
I would say that.
great. I can breathe again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would say that it's that one that I tried. It was probably superior to many of the things that we
Hmm.
eat in Colombia. But I guess that we should compare like the best place against the best place.
Yes, yes, you have to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And despite that, of course, as you said, we have a lot of immigrants living here in Brazil, and it's a incredible mix of cultures here. But I think if I would answer to you more emotionally, I think I would say that Brazilian food, uh, because we cannot say like food is not afraid, but it's almost like our recipes, our way to cook. We are not afraid of the flavors. I think so. Because when something is sweet, it's too sweet, just like
Ah,
brigadeiro. It has
hmm,
a lot of sugar.
yeah,
And if something is fat, like feijoada, there's a lot of things uh, in the pork, in the recipe, really heavy
yeah.
regarding fat. Or if something is spicy, it's really spicy. Not really spicy as Thailand and other other countries. But yeah, so I think it's the main thing, maybe.
Hmm. I love that view of your cuisine. I think that it makes a lot of sense, and I would have never thought about that description before. Um, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
you are not afraid of the flavor. You go all the way with any flavor. Would you have your own restaurant? Uh, I mean, what would you rather? Keep eating for 300 days in these places that you have to go? Or would you rather have your own thing and your own restaurant? Is that something that is cross your mind?
Uh, no, sometimes I think, oh, what if I open a wine bar with just two small things to eat? It will be chill and nice, but I know that it's not the reality. So no, I would not have a restaurant. And
Hmm.
also because recently I'm cooking very bad. I don't know what's happening, but I also always burn my rice. Something is happening around here.
This
But
is big news. You're
yes,
very good
but
at eating, but not very good at cooking.
yes, I cook since I was a child together
Ah,
with my grandma. It was a thing for us. Yes,
uh huh.
my grandmother, she's dead. So I always remember her through food is something that I really hold on.
Hmm.
It's a great memory that I have. So I know how to cook. But the problem for me is like to do a rice while I'm doing other things like
Ah,
working. So then sometimes, oh my God, my rice. That's the
okay.
problem,
Got it. Got it.
to cook together with the things
Yeah.
that you have to do every day. That's the difficult part, I
A
think so.
kitchen. Yeah, a kitchen would be way too dangerous for you. Yeah. Gabi, have you ever played this game on Nintendo Switch that is called Overcooked? Do you
I
know this
know which
game?
game. Yes, I know this game, but I have never played.
Okay, I think that would be a good training for you to know if you're really made for this. So
Okay.
we have that game here and we play with my wife. And it's a game that creates a lot of tension because you have to go and get the ingredients from one side and then you have to go to the other side of the
Oh
kitchen
my
and
God.
if you're gonna make rice, so you put it in on the stove, and then the time starts counting, so you need to go do something else like chop vegetables, and then the rice starts burning, and then if it keeps burning, like the entire kitchen can burn, so you need to find an extinguisher and then put the fire down.
Yeah.
So it is
I
very
had to do
stressful.
yes, I can imagine. I had to do a surgery in my hand because I cut myself cooking. Yeah,
Oh my god!
I'm this kind of person, so I have
What
to
were
be
you
careful
chopping?
about
What
it.
happened?
No, it was just rice again. But my I used it to keep my rice in a glass pot, and this glass pot crashed,
Ah,
broken, was broken, and
yeah.
then a glass. got into my hand.
Oh
Yes, and
my
I had
God, that's
to
so
go to the
dangerous.
surgery. Yes, that was not nice.
Every journalist has that one person they dream of interviewing. For Gabrielli, that person was Anthony Bourdain. We talk about what made him such an icon and why the world of professional kitchens is as intense as it gets. Just to start closing this really amazing conversation that I've enjoyed so much and had so much fun, and I think it's been great because we've been able to talk about funny things, surprising things, more emotional stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Who is that chef that you would love to interview or to do a story about? Like your holy grail of a chef to talk with.
So I think I'm not a person who's a fan of many things. You know, when I was a teenager, I wasn't a fan of any band. That's something about me. Yeah, really. So I think I like the most the things that surprise me. Like I will interview someone that I'm giving nothing, and then suddenly they give me a whole story about, and I feel like, oh my God, that's amazing. So it's a tough answer for me, but thinking about someone or some chef, I think I will give a very cliche answer, and I will say that I would like to had interviewed Anthony Bourdain because right now it's not possible anymore, but I think he's a very he has some kind of complexity in his personality. I think he was able to talk about some taboos. He exposed some the reality of the kitchen of the profession, and I was very touched by his documentary. I think it's on Netflix or something. Which called Hold Runner, and so I think he has courage to talk about different things. Also, a lot of knowledge because he had visited the whole world, and I think the fact that he also suffered from depression uh, uh, doing something that anyone would like to do, like just in the beginning we were saying about eat and travel for free. So uh, he was doing that. So yes, I think something that touched me in a way, and also it
Yeah.
intrigues me a lot, a lot.
Hmm. No,
So
I think that I actually agree with that. That's one character that I would have liked uh, to talk with. Not only for just an interview, but in general about life. And
yes, as a person, not just as a professional, right?
exactly. Have you
He's
read?
so different.
Yeah. Have you read Kitchen Confidential? Or
Yes, I
yeah,
did it.
it I
Yes.
and it's amazing. He being a chef, having that ability to write so beautifully. Um,
Yeah. To
it, I w-
communicate in a whole,
yeah,
right? Not just write, but talk everything.
he was an amazing guy. Absolutely, that is
Yeah.
a really great choice. I thought you when you said like this is probably cliche. I thought you were gonna say, and I wrote it down just in case.
I can see it. Ah,
Fer
Ferradria.
Ferran Adrià.
Yes.
They were good friends. A couple episodes ago, I was talking with one of my best friends who is a chef in Cartagena, and
Hmm.
we were talking about this. at the end of the conversation. Like, just as Anthony Bourdain describes it in that book, it's like that. It's just like that, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like when you play Overcooked, right?
Yeah, that's exactly that's the
Yes.
way things happen in kitchens all
Yes.
over the world. What a good way to finish this interview, Gabi, with
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us again. And before we go, just please let the listeners and the viewers know where they can find you, where to follow you, because you have a lot of impact and social media accounts that people can follow you.
Yes, sure. I think Instagram is my main account. It's the social media that I use to communicate with people. I'm trying to find out TikTok, but I think I'm not there yet. So that's why I'll just tell you to follow me on my Instagram, which is Gabrielli with double L and I in the end, and after that S and M, Gabrielism. Yeah, that's it. Thank
Mhm.
you so much, Camilo. Ah, I just forgot, but I also have a newsletter. So every week I post a different article with restaurants and bars tips. If you are interested about what is happening in São Paulo, maybe why not? Yeah, you can
Absolutely.
subscribe. Yeah, through the link in the bio that is right on my Instagram.
That's perfect. Of course, people are gonna be interested in Sao Paulo food
Yes,
scene.
just
I
translate it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and read.
It can be automatically, and
Yes,
we people who speak Spanish can read Portuguese. You know, we kind of like
more or
match
less.
things. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay, Guy. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to the people watching and listening. We'll see you in the next episode of Comersaciones. That's it for this episode of Comersaciones. Thank you for listening. Comersaciones is a production of Go Comunicaciones for the blog First Called Press Notes. Our executive producer is Carolina Ortiz Guerrero. The editing was done by me, Camilo Giraldo Gallo, your host. This episode was recorded on Riverside and edited in CapCut. Follow us on Instagram at Comersaciones Podcast for behind-the-scenes content and updates. You can also find Comersaciones Podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And if you love food stories, check out my newsletter on Substack, First Called Press Notes. All links are in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who loves food as much as we do. See you next time.